in this particular SKU, you can basically go into the SKU properties of this, and here you will see pricing sales channel. So here you have two options. For people who are on the base plan, by default, price as completely built unit will be selected for you. Price as completely built unit will be selected, and you will not have access to price from constituent elements. Price from constituent element means that it is priced from all the raw materials that are required to construct the cabinet. You can put the prices accordingly. But price as completely built unit means that Nidhi, we will take up queries, but we will take it up at the end unless it is something that you want to immediately discuss. So we were discussing that price as completely built unit. You need to understand that the entire cabinet is considered a um, as a built completely unit with shutter, hardware, everything. It is completely built, and you can price it as a per unit item. Like suppose, let's say there is a sofa and the cost of the sofa is 20,000 rupees. So that means per unit price of the sofa is 20,000 rupees, right? Similarly, it is considered that the cabinet is 20,000 rupees, and even if you make any changes on that, this will not change. Like for example, let's say I am putting the price here as 2,000 rupees for this particular cabinet. I'm just putting it as 2,000 rupees, and we have added it in the default sales channel, and I'm just updating the price here as 2,000 rupees. Okay, so you can see I have updated the price. I've put 2,000 rupees and I've updated it. Now I will go into a design that I have already opened, and I will add that particular cabinet in that, and will show you how the pricing occurs, right? So I'll go into insert furnish in base unit. You can see we have price for pricing test. So I'll add this here, and you can see that this is added. Now, if I go into production and pricing here, then I can continue, and the pricing will be generated here. I can go into settings here, and I can select, if you remember, we had taken default sales channel there. So you can see now that the item's price is 2,000 rupees. 2,000 rupees for the product there. And like how we had put, right? 2,000 rupees for the product. Now, if I suppose, even if I make any change in this particular product, right? Even if I make any change, like I change the width or height of this particular product. Let's say I'm selecting this particular cabinet and I'm making the width as 900 mm. So even then, what will happen is if I'm going into pricing and I'm adding pricing in this, what will happen is it will still be 2,000 rupees. You can see it's still 2,000 rupees because what we have inputted here, the default unit, 2,000 rupees per unit, meaning no matter what changes we do, whether we change the laminate or the finish or the size, or we add any hardware inside or anything, it will still be considered 2,000 rupees. So for such sort of a pricing is usually ideal for, like, if you want to price any handles, like let's say in hardware you have cabinet handles. So if you want to price handles here, you can go into properties and pricing here. You can put per unit pricing here of the handle. Let's say 200 rupees and update it. So this is the best solution which you, when you are adding any item like handles, hardwares, let's say hinges, for all these products or sofas, beds, etc., where you want per unit pricing, you can use this. But for cabinets, usually if you look at it, for cabinets you would definitely want the price to change if suppose there is a height or width difference. If you're changing the size of the cabinet, you would want the price to change, right? So in that way, what you can do is you can go in, you can still continue. Let's say I'm putting 2,000 rupees here, and I'm putting per unit charge here of, I'm putting square foot. So per square foot price of the unit of the cabinet will be 2000 rupees then. Or you can, let's say, I'll just make it 100 rupees for easier understanding. So per square foot is 100 rupees. Now, if you update this pricing, let's understand how the pricing happens. Always remember, when you are making any changes in the admin or any pricing or any properties of it, when you go back to the same design, you'll have to go into production, you'll have to go into settings here and refresh cache. What does refresh cache mean? It means that if there are any changes on that particular SKU in the admin side, that it will get the latest information and update your design also. So here you can see in details the pricing has changed. Can you see how they have allocated that the old value was, what is the change also it will show, right? The old value was 2000 rupees per unit, the new value is this much, right? So you can now continue this and you can refresh the SKU and you can apply it. So once you do that and you start pricing your product, let's say you check the pricing now. So like you can see, the pricing has now changed to 695.5 rupees. How did this pricing come? This pricing comes from the fact that if you look at it, the cabinet's width is 900 mm and the height is 720 mm. Depth is not something that in this particular type of calculation is considered. So let's say I will just open I'll just open an Excel file and I'll try to show you. I'll just open an Excel file and I'll try to show you. In this, the width that we have is 900 mm. So you can see the width is 900 mm and the height of the cabinet is 720 mm. And the depth of the cabinet is 560 mm, right? So these are the dimensions of that particular cabinet. But we have again, the conversion ratio also will copy it here. So if you remember, these are the dimensions in mm. But when we had taken the pricing, if you look at this particular pricing here, if you look at the pricing, we had taken in square foot. So what happens is that you will definitely have to convert it into foot. So when you're converting into foot, the conversion ratio is 304.8. So this divided by the conversion factor of 304.8. So you can see now the width is 2.9527 foot, and similarly for the others also we are calculating it similarly, right? And you will now see that the area of that particular cabinet in square foot is equal to width into height. So the area is 6.9750. And if you remember, we had put per square foot price as 100 rupees. So per square foot price being 100 rupees, we'll multiply it by 100 here and you can see 697.5. And if you look at the pricing, it is 697.5. So if you want to calculate in this way, the pricing, if your solutioning is enough in this way that you can calculate it such that the square footage covering of the cabinet, and you can give a square foot rate for the same, then you can calculate it like this, and all the items that you have, right, you can add per unit square foot pricing here and you can update it. And what will happen is your pricing will get updated accordingly for all. And like you can see here in this particular cabinet, if I select the particular cabinet, right, I've selected the cabinet and I am making the dimension as 600, let's say. Then let's generate the pricing again. See, the pricing is 465 now because I've changed it. And let's go and change it. We have taken 600 now. So you can see 465. So every time you make any change in the width, height, or anything, right, in the width or height of the cabinet, then the costing will get reflected accordingly. The depth is not a factor that is considered in this particular type of pricing. So you can calculate it accordingly if this is what work. This is the second type of solutioning that you can use for cabinets. Now, for cabinets, what happens is a lot of times, if you look at it, people, if you look at this particular cabinet, right? What is happening in this cabinet is that no matter what shutter design I'm using, like this shutter, if I change this shutter right now, like if I go into shutter system, shutter design right now, and I change the shutter here, let's say from this particular shutter, I'm using a fluted shutter. Now, ideally, the price of the particular cabinet should change because fluted shutters are more costlier to manufacture than plain shutters. But in this type of solutioning, this will not change. It will still be the same price because you have not asked, you have said it's a fully constructed cabinet and you don't need to like take all this into construction, like in consideration. So, what happens is the pricing still remains the same here, but what you can do is that you can exclude certain items from this pricings. So certain items, like let's say shutters and drawer fascias, let's say handles, all this cannot be considered as price of the completely built unit. So these items can be removed from the pricing, maybe appliances, hardware, chimneys, corner unit systems, because these are additional cost over and above what is the cabinet cost that might affect your overall pricing, right? If your client says that they want to have a tandem drawer added, or they want to have a SS box added or a SS basket added, then the pricing of that will significantly change, or the pricing will increase. So what you can do is you can exclude certain items from this pricing, and then what will happen, let's say, so I'm doing a very simple thing here, that I have excluded from this pricing shutters and handles. That's all. Okay, I'm just excluding that and I'm updating it. Okay, now what I'm doing is I will go now, if I'm not adding the price of the shutter in this particular cabinet, then the price of the shutter has to come from somewhere, right? So I'll go into the shutter design here. You can see cabinet shutter is the option here, and you can go there, and let's say we create one shutter which we will use. We will just take one shutter here and we will clone it in a new group for testing purpose. Okay, similarly, test for pricing, we'll just write it here. You can see test for pricing here, and in SKU properties of this, I will price this particular shutter also. I'll put a price of the shutter as 100 rupees per square foot, and I will update it, right? Depending on if it's a plain shutter, you can put 100. If it's a slightly costlier shutter, let's say fluted shutter, acrylic shutter, you can make different types of shutters and you can price it accordingly. You can make it 150, 200, different. So every time that particular shutter is used, that pricing will be added. Now what will happen, I have added the pricing here, right? So I'll do this, then I will go back now, and instead of this shutter, I'll start selecting. I'll just refresh it once so that it's updated, because we have added a new SKU. So it should be updated then. So I'll just select the shutter here. I'll go into shutter, and in shutter design, I'll change the shutter. So here I'll take this particular shutter where I had selected it, test for pricing. You can see I have put 100 rupees there, right? And I'll also go into production and I'll catch the design so that the latest update that we have done in terms of pricing is updated here, right? Just like how we did earlier. So once you do this setting for your entire, when you set the price for your entire catalog, you don't have to cache it again and again. This is just because we are making multiple changes and trying to show you. So it's we have caching it again and again. So when I continue on the pricing here, so now you see in this particular cabinet, the pricing is coming as 927. Now If I go into details of this, you will see for pricing the SKU, the first SKU is the cabinet that we had is still priced at 465 rupees, but the shutter is priced separately than this. And if you remember, the dimension here is 598 and 718. Why is it 598 and 718? Because all shutters usually have a shutter reduction of 1 mm in the design, so that because this is a standard construction technique, right? On all sides of the panel, it is the shutter usually has a 1 reduction on all sides. So it is 598 and 718 here. So if you look at it right now, this is the cabinet cost, right? This entire thing is your cabinet cost. Let's make another one for the shutter cost. Let's make another one for the shutter here. Now shutter, you remember it's 598 mm here and 718 pricing here. So area is again this, and we had put 100 rupees only. So you can see 462.16. And can you see it's 462.16? It is 462.16 as per the calculation. And the total price of the entire cabinet is this plus this. So now you can see 927. So you can see here that it is the price is 927.16. Similarly, you can exclude other items also. What you need to understand from this is that for all these different types of shutters that you have, you can price it differently. And you don't like, even if you don't have a advanced add-on pricing in your quotation, right? If you want to price something based on the shutter finish, you can still solution it in a way that you can create different types of categories here and then price it accordingly. Like this is wooden, you can create one wooden laminate, you can create one with wooden acrylic, and in each of them the square feet rate that you are putting here, you can increase it. You can see here the square feet I put 100 for each of the different types of shutter designs. You can change the pricing accordingly and then price it here. Similarly, in the base unit, the cabinet that we're looking right now, we had excluded, if you look at it in the pricing, we had excluded shutter and handle. Handle also you can price it in a very similar way. Like if you go into hardware and you go into uh, cabinet handles here, you can see cabinet handles. So here, whichever one, let's say you are using whichever cabinet you want to use in decor, let's say we're using antique brass 120. Okay, so I can go into properties here in pricing. I have priced it as 200 rupees per unit. So I can go and use this. Like if I go back and I select this particular shutter, I go into handle, I change the handle here in antique brass 160 mm. I have selected. Now if I price it, you will see, like you will see this is the handle and it's 200 rupees again priced here, right? So accordingly you can price it however you want. So this is how you can solution your entire pricing accordingly. Now, out of the pricing, there are two more things that we need to understand. One is your tax, one is your margin. Now, of course, when you're looking at the pricing of a particular, um, I request everyone. So basically, if you look at the pricing here in admin, if you look at the pricing, then the next thing that you need to understand in pricing is your default price is one thing, but there is a question of tax and there's a question of margin also. So suppose your base price is, your cost price is 100 rupees, but you want to sell the item at a price of uh, let's say 150 rupees or 160 rupees, etc., right? So that is your selling price. Cost price versus selling price is a different ball game, right? You might have get the product at 100 rupees, but you want to sell it at 150 rupees. Then you have to put a certain margin here for it to become 150 rupees. Now, how is margin calculated? Now, margin is calculated. If you look at margin, this is the formula of margin. Selling price is equal to cost price divided by 1 minus margin by 100, right? So if suppose right now your cost price is 100 rupees, then you can put, and your selling price, like let's not discuss tax at this point at all. let's only uh, let's only discuss first of all that you want to, your cost price of a product is 100 rupees and your selling price of a product you want it to be 150 rupees, right? I'm extremely sorry, let's first discuss that. If you by this calculation, if you know the margin what you have a 20% margin, then you can immediately calculate it in that way. What you can do is, if you have a 20% margin, let's say, then the selling price will become your cost price divided by 1 minus your whatever margin you have divided by 100. So basically zero point 0.2, right? So if you look at this particular calculation, we'll just put a bracket on this. So if you look at this particular calculation, if your margin is 20%, then with this particular calculation, because this is the official calculation for cost price versus selling price, your selling price will become 120 rupees. So if you look at the pricing here, you can simply put margin as 20 here and it will automatically calculate. This is auto calculated. You can simply input the value and it will be 125 rupees. As per the calculation, it will set it. But the back end calculation of it is this: selling price is equal to cost price divided by 1 minus margin by 100. But now, if you don't understand what is your margin, you only understand that I have a 100 rupee product and I'm selling it at 150 rupees. So how will you calculate it? You can just consider your margin as X and calculate the you can basically consider your margin as X and calculate your calculated basis the discussion you had. Like basically, cost price is 100, selling price is 150, and you just have one variable X, and on that you can calculate it here on 150 or how whatever product that you want to have. Now, let's if you have, let's say, a 50% margin, or if you have a 25% margin, 30% margin, you can simply calculate it according to your requirement. 33.33 if you put, then it will be 149.99 percent margin that you have, right? So you can calculate your margin and selling price accordingly. Please remember, this is the formula. If anyone wants to take a screenshot of it, you can please take a screenshot right away so that you understand this is the formula. Okay. Then, if you also want me to put it in your chat, then I would be happy to do the same. I have also put it up on the chat. Hello, Nidhi. You're not able to hear me. Is everyone else able to hear me? Is everyone else getting a clear audio from my side? Anidhi, then I'm really sorry. It must be something at your side. Extremely sorry. If you could check your connectivity.
The sound is clear, ma'am. There's no issue.
Okay, Nidhi, you'll have to really check on your side. Sorry. So basically, what we have is that the margin you can set it accordingly, and along with the margin, you can also put up like whatever tax that you have. Let's say India's, if you're talking about India in general, then it is usually 18% tax or 12% tax, or maybe 15% tax, depending on whatever is the product that you're selling. So you can simply put 18% tax here. You don't have to even to calculate anything. Your final selling price will auto calculate here and show. Now again, what is the formula for selling price again? If you look at the formula for selling price, you can see here selling price with tax is equal to selling price without tax into 1 plus tax by 100. So basically, if you have 18% tax, then what will happen if you have a 100 rupee product and if you have 18% tax, then what you need to do is you need to take the pre-tax value and you need to multiply it by 1 point whatever tax you have, 1.8 or 1.2. 1.8 basically, right? So if you do that, then 18% tax means it becomes 118. So that is something that is a back-end calculation, but the software already does this for you and puts the final selling price. And basis the final selling price, let's say I'll update it now. if you look at this, is 176.99, right? I have updated it. I have added tax and margin. Then I'll go back, go into production, and again update the pricing here. Then I'll continue. So I have updated the pricing again, and now I will generate the price for you. So you can see here the details. In this particular cabinet is 176.99 per square foot. And in the calculation that we were doing, I will just put, instead of 100, 170, I'm extremely sorry, how much is it? 176.99. Right? So you can see 825 is the pricing, and you can see 820, sorry, 823 is the pricing, and the same amount we're getting here also. So it will take the pricing accordingly. You can put margins and all the information there, and the pricing will start getting generated here automatically. So it is a very automated process once you set it completely for your entire organization. Now we have done it for one organization, one cabinet, right? Now, if you might be wondering that should I go into each cabinet to make this change? No, you don't need to. What you can do is you can select all the cabinets. There's a faster process for this. But remember, whenever you're doing this, you have to be extremely careful that you don't get confused with so many cabinets together. So what you do is that you select all the cabinets here. If you select, basically, if you select one cabinet, right, the select all option also starts. So you can select all the items in this particular group. You can select more also, like you can go and select more options also. But suggesting, if you're doing it for the first time, please select one and first do it for one cabinet and then start off with the rest, right? Then you can go into bulk actions here. So when you go into bulk action, you can go into bulk edit. When you go into bulk edit, it will first show you all the cabinets that you have considered for selection. Then go into proceed to editing. Now, if there is a particular square feet rate that you are putting, that means all the cabinets will have the same square feet rate, right? It is not like each cabinet will have a different square feet rate, because if the product is same, then the square feet rate is usually same. So you can take all SKU at once. But if you want to individually add for all of them, like I'll select individually first. If I select individually, then I can go into sales channel. Yeah, just like how you went for the one cabinet, you can go to sales channel there, and you can see all the items. Here you can see modify sales channel values. So when you open the same, you can see all the pricing here. And here you can modify the pricing according to your requirement. You can see you can modify the pricing here. In price mode, you just have to select custom, and then you can modify the pricing, right? And you will be able to make whatever changes you want. But let's say it is a square feet rate, and you can put same price, and you can put all SKU at once. Then again go to sales channel, and you can select key for you want to modify which sales channel. You can select default sales channel. You can put whatever pricing you want, whatever unit you want, whatever tax margin, and then proceed to confirmation. So let's say I'm putting 100 rupees for everything here. I'm putting unit as square foot. I'm putting tax as 18, and I'm putting a margin of 33.33%. And I'm proceed to change. It will basically show you what you have changed, and you can publish the change. And once you change this, then everything will start taking that value. Technically, if you have a certain square feet for shutter, certain square feet for drawer, certain for pull out, then you can do it one by one, and it's a very easy process. You can just bulk edit it. Now you can see, I will just go into any particular cabinet. Okay, you can see in pricing. Uh, you can see in pricing that the pricing has been put according to what we had put there, right? So basically, all the pricings of this particular area will get changed for you. You also can make a lot of modifications in bulk edit like this, like not about your pricing just, but when you go into bulk edit, you can basically explore what are the changes you can do. Like you can select whatever change you can do at a unit level for a cabinet. You can do it at a like if you look at all SKUs, you can see you can change like tags, you can change any properties, display images, or like if you look at individual ones, let's say display images, if you want to add display image different for all of them, you can select everything, upload each of them one by, like you'll get like a complete list, and you can upload all of them together also. You don't need to go to each and every one and upload basically. So bulk edit has a lot of benefits, but you should be very careful when doing it, because this is a final action, so it you cannot revert this action basically. So please be careful while using it. But for pricing, you can price all your products like this. And the last thing that we will be discussing is your quotation format. Now you need to understand that this is the pricing format that is coming, right? And you can definitely print it also, and you can give it to your client. But what you need to understand is that all these details of your pricing, you might need to customize. You might need to customize the pricing that are added here. First of all, you can see here that this is your Infurnia pricing. This is the logo that is there is Infurnia here. So when I download the pricing also, you can see that it is showing Infurnia here. But you can basically upload whatever logo your organization has. So you just need to go into the settings here, account settings, and here down you can upload store logo. Whatever you upload here, whatever your logo is, you upload here, and the quotation will start showing that logo. You can also add, like you can see store name, address, GST value, right? So in this particular area itself, you can see, you can name the store, you can put whatever is a GST value, you can put your organization's address. All this will start showing in your design, like in your quotations that you're putting. Please go back and do this for your organization. Otherwise your quotations that are going really have like no details otherwise, right? So you just go and upload all this, it will have all the details there. Then this is of course coming from the project. Then quotation date, it, please remember, expiry date is something that you can set. Like you would not probably want your quotation to be valid forever, right? So usually 30 days is something that we provide, but you can go and change it in preferences also. You can go to settings, preferences and settings, and here you have preferences. So here you can see in you will get here pricing settings, okay? Pricing quotation preferences. So here you can see that there is price validity. Whatever period you put here, as per that, it will show here in your expiry. If the quotation is generated on 8th of Feb, then 9th March, it is expired. So you can do that. And all this is auto-generated. Even the if there are any international clients on this call, you need to understand that you can change the currency also. You can go here, you can simply search for currency. You can see currency. Right now I am in USD. If I want to change it to INR, I can. If I want to change into any other uh, any other any other if I want to change it to any other currency, then I can definitely do that also. And basis that, your quotation will start getting generated. So you can go ahead and generate whatever quotation, whatever currency you want accordingly. So in this way, your preferences that you have, right? If you look at the pricing settings here, pricing quotation preferences, you can actually explore this area for the formatting of your particular quotation. Similarly, you can see in the below that there are the pricing has been put, the installment percentage, installment number, there are terms and conditions that you can put. So when you go into your admin, right, here you have these preferences available here. You can actually put whatever preferences you can select here basically, and you can change whatever order, whatever list of orders or columns you want to apply. Like you can go here. Here you can go into settings and you can see in other settings, you can see which columns are shown in your particular quotation. These are the columns: unit price, quantity price. These are the price, whatever you have turned on here. But this is design specific, right? If you want to change it at an organization level, you can change it in your admin. In preferences and settings, you can basically go into change here, and you can include whatever columns you want, and only those will keep getting updated by default. So all this, please go ahead and explore so that you understand how your how your quotations are getting generated as such, right? So for preferences and settings, there are a lot of options. Even in settings, if you look at it, yeah, you can see terms and conditions. So all the terms and conditions of your store, you can add it here. You can see service charges. If there are particular service charges that you take by default, like you can see you by default take painting charges or something, then you can add it here. You can calculate it based on percentage, area, per unit, absolute. You can put all this. You can also make this changes, like if it is a design based thing, you can add it here also. Like you can basically check services here and you can add it here also. On this area for a design specific one, you can add it. But if there are things that you do it at the admin level, then for all the quotations they start getting added. Even payment schedules and all are something which is at an organization level, right? So you can fix all this at an organization level itself. These are one-time investments that you will do, and all your quotations will start getting generated properly. So add payment schedules, add terms and conditions, and create all these accordingly. Then you can also check one very interesting thing about, you can go into settings, you can go into other settings here, and you can see that there is pricing quotation templates. You see there are two templates that we currently offer. One is show woodwork separately, which means that your woodwork, like cabinets, will be shown separately and all other items will be shown separately. Why? Because a lot of times people put discount on woodwork, they don't put discount on the other items. So when you go into discount here, you can see for woodwork there's a separate discount, for other items there's a separate discount. So accordingly you can add discount. For woodwork, let's say you're saying add discount and you're putting percentage wise and you're putting 10% discount. If I apply it, then this will only get added to the woodwork, not the other items. So you can segregate basis that, and then you can add discounts and everything, right? Even like services, if you look at services, you can add row. Then you can select, like let's say you have one service which is countertop service or anything, and you want it to be I'm sorry, one second. Let's say you want to add any service, like let's say custom I'm putting, and you want to use a per unit basis, then you can add custom. Actually, why custom? You can just countertop service per unit. You can pay, put whatever rate you want. You can put whatever quantity you want. You can put tax according to that, and you can update it. So when you do that, you can see that services again becomes another area. It's all properly segregated in your quotation and shown to you. So that is one thing. And another type of quotation template we have is the room wise segregation. So if you look at room wise, then you will see kitchen one, ground floor. Then based on the different rooms, the pricing will come. If you have three, four rooms, then all the rooms pricing will come separately. So you can actually format it in however you want also. So this is about your pricing solution, how to set it up. There is also an advanced pricing option where you can price your products. Like if you remember the initial discussion when we were having, we were discussing that for a pricing, if you go to SKU properties and pricing, you have the option of price from constituent elements. This is your advanced level pricing, and that is something that we will discuss over another webinar, because only if you have the add-on you will be able to use it. We can have a discussion on this from another point of view, but today we will now start taking any queries or questions that people have, and probably if there is a solution that we can provide, we'll be happy to. Yes, we have couple of hands up. So let's say, Mohini, can we start with you?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Uh, that was a very good explanation about detailing and everything. I just want to know the calculation of selling price with the tax and without tax, the one we have showed earlier.
Okay. Let's go into
Yeah,
that one more time. So suppose you have a selling price without tax. Okay, let's say selling price without tax we will take as 100 rupees. Okay, and you need to find out SP of SP with tax. Okay, so when you say SP with tax, what you'll have to do is that, first of all, this is the formula. Okay, I will just show you. This is the formula usually. SP without tax is equal to SP with tax into 1 plus tax by 100. So let's say here what you need to do is SP without tax is 100 rupees, right? Into 1 plus 18% tax. So 18 divided by 100. This is how you basically calculate. So 100 is the SP without tax. Then it's 1 plus 18 divided by 100. 18 divided by 100 will be, so basically 100 into 1 plus 0.18. Then comes your 100 into 1.18. So after that, when you calculate, it is basically equal to SP into 1.18. So it becomes 118. Did you understand?
Yeah, understood. Thank you.
Right. So basically, if you look at it very simply, right, if it's 18% tax, then you
Mm.
just multiply it by 1.18. If it's 12% tax, multiply it by 1.12. I mean, we went into the detail, but simply the calculation is that only, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Into 1.18 or 1.12, whatever it is.
Whatever is the tax. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
no problem. Ranjit,
Yeah, hi, Rishabh.
hi.
Uh, I just joined a bit late, so I couldn't get. I just heard about the term that width and height is considered for the quotation, right? Not the
Yes,
depth.
not the depth. We consider the shutter dimension basically. If it's like whatever is the cabinet dimension, width into height, and
Yes,
basis that the calculation is made.
correct. But what if there is a breakfast counter where the client is asking for a depth of 750? In that case, if we're considering the usage of material goes way above, right? I mean, anything up to, I mean, there's a slab basically. 300 is one slab, 400 is one slab, 600 is one slab. And 300, we can get four pieces out of our plywood. In 400, we can get three. In 600, we can get two. The moment it is going beyond 600, only one plywood, I mean, one piece of panel you can get from a particular plywood. So it
Understood.
does matter.
Uh, basically, most of your quotations it will not affect, but for certain items where it is going, see, you can always take the add-on and then price it as per the raw material. That will be very, very accurate, and that won't be a problem at all if you have the add-on. But suppose you don't have the add-on and you want to still do certain changes like this, then you can always like go into any of the cabinets. Suppose this cabinet has a depth of 560, but your standard cabinets all have 450 depth, then you can always go into this cabinet, go into the details here, and you can add some charges to that particular cabinet. Like you can bump up the percentage or you can add a value. Let's say 1,000 rupees more you need for manufacturing this, then you can update it, and you can basically add extra cost on that.
Okay.
Like
But that there
the
can be complex calculation which involves
then you
the
will have
width
to go
versus
for
height
the
versus depth, right?
then you will have to go for the add-on, because the add-on is something that we do for advanced pricing. For most solutions this works, but if
Mm-hmm.
you need a very accurate calculation where you have depth, width, height, everything, then you can take the pricing add-on, and there the solution is like that. So basically, if you look at uh, price from constituents, right, I'll just give you a glimpse of that thing. If you look at this pricing, I'll go into SKU properties, and in pricing, do you if you don't mind me asking, do you have the add-on currently?
We have the pricing add-on, yes.
Yeah, so you can always price it from constituents, right? If you price it from constituents, that means that each and every panel, I'll just show you, I'll just settings, I'll refresh it. If you look at the cabinet, if you look at the details of this cabinet, each and every panel with height and everything, like basically each and every panel is priced. Each and every core material, finish over that, and edge band is priced. So in that case, with height, anything you change, it will reflect the price accordingly.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that is necessary because we are into the B2B segment as well.
That's so
So
for
if
your
I'm preparing a quotation for a client of mine who is actually an interior designer,
okay.
then they will be asking, let's say there are four panels coming out of from one thing, then why are you charging me this much?
No,
Right? So
for
it has
your
to be a
use
pretty
case,
accurate one.
like what we discussed today was the base price one. The advanced pricing is something that you, since you were not part of the initial discussion, you might have got confused. But we were discussing the basic pricing today, and
Okay.
add-on pricing is again more complicated, and that is the one which will serve your use case,
Okay. Got it. Yeah. Thank
right?
you.
Okay, no problem. Is there any other questions that we can take up? Okay, if not, then I would like to understand that how many of you on the call today have a add-on pricing. I will just put up a poll here, so people can probably, because what we are trying to understand is that if there is a requirement for us to take another session on advanced pricing. So I would really recommend if you guys can just poll it here. If we have enough number of votes, then we will take the next session on advanced pricing add-on, that is raw material pricing or price from constituents. Uh, if people can vote accordingly, and there are enough number of people who would want us to do it, we will definitely take up the next session on that. And also, while we will be taking up the next session for these people who have the add-ons, people who are on the basic plan also can come and understand as to what is that pricing, if there is a utility for you to, or it might, be beneficial for your business, or you might benefit out of it. You can still come for that meeting and try to understand as to what it is about. And if you find value in that feature, you can probably get it added. So I think there are people who have voted. If so, we will still go ahead and do the next webinar on advanced pricing. And what we will do is that we would like to understand today if there are any other questions on basic pricing. Any other question anyone has on basic pricing? If there are no questions, then we would expect that all of you will set up your pricing, and there will be uh, a huge growth in the feature used by our clients from today onwards for pricing. And because you guys can set it up yourself, a lot of people wait for their customer service executives to help them, or set it up for them, but that doesn't usually work like that, because uh, the setup is something that you will only have to do. So please do check out the solutioning and try to set up your pricing. See where you get stuck. Wherever you get stuck, CSMs are always available to help you there, but you need to at least set up your pricing so that you can start using Infurnia to the fullest. If there are no other questions, then I think uh, yeah, you can ask your CSM to share the session recording with you. So if there are no other questions, then we'll be closing the session. but we will really hope that people will start using the pricing setups, and you will start setting up your pricing accordingly and generate your pricings. Always check your pricing with the manual pricing that you are doing currently. Cross check it, see where there's a difference, and wherever there's a difference, ask your CSM to help you with the solution to find if there is any mistake. But at least set up your pricing first, and then probably you can have a discussion with your CSMs, right? Thank you so much everyone for joining this call. We will see you next time, and the next session will be on advanced pricing. We request whoever has the add-ons to come and understand how to set it up. Whoever does not are also welcome to come and understand the value of the feature, and if they want, they can upgrade it accordingly.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.